The sun shone through the blinds. Max woke from a peaceful sleep. He gazed at the red-headed mistress sleeping beside him. Then he began staring at the ceiling, many thoughts racing inside. Roxanne cuddled up close to her Maxie. Roxanne let out a sleepy grumble that barely qualified as a response. How long do you think we're going to be able to keep doing this? Max asked. That definitely got Roxanne to open her eyes. She didn't know how to answer. I want to keep doing this, Max continued. Seriously, I feel so happy right now, and I do too, Max, Roxanne sweetly replied. Roxanne began to rub Max's chest as he kissed the top of her head. The two felt so warm and in love. How could this get any better? Open up, shouted Barry, pounding at the door. Come on out, Max. Barry, we're still waking up, said Roxanne. Go on downstairs and I made you guys breakfast, Barry announced. Barry had a big pile of fresh waffles all laid out for Max Roxanne himself. Bon appetit, he said triumphantly. Max was quite amazed at how delicious this platter looked. You made these waffles, Barry? Tom makes him watch me cook, Roxanne explained, in case I'm gone. They all sat down and helped themselves with some butter and syrup. Thank you, Barry. This is very sweet of you, said Roxanne. These are really good, Barry, Max complimented. Well, it is family day, Barry proclaimed. What's the plan? Your father's in L.A., Barry, Roxanne stated. Barry leaned his elbow on the table and raised his eyebrows at Max. Then I guess we'll have to make it honorary family day, Barry proposed. This honorary family soon found themselves at the local theme park, going side to side and upside down. It was funny, Roxanne thought. Thomas actually had a few of the family days here, but Barry was enjoying himself a lot more now. As Roxanne looked at the big old goof sitting beside her on the roller coaster, she knew why. After an exhausting but very fun day, Max pulled up to a quaint old house on a quaint old street. Where are we now? Barry asked. This is Max's dad's house, Barry, said Roxanne. You, Barry, Max proclaimed, will like my dad. You will find no one else funnier in the entire world. Before too long, they were trying to shovel down Goofy's cooking without making faces or retching. True lovers past cross again, Goofy yucked. Yeah, Roxanne sighed. It won't be long, Mr. Goof. Oh, Roxanne, no need to be so polite, Goofy reassured. Please call me Goofy. Being polite is what Roxanne does best, Dad, Max stated. Then everybody at the table realized what Roxanne just said. What do you mean it won't last long? Goofy asked. Well, I'm married, Roxanne explained. As Goofy started to put two and two together, his look changed from mushy-gushy to picky-picky. You two are having an affair? Goofy asked, pointing back and forth between Max and Roxanne. Max stood up and took Goofy into the other room. He took a deep breath and tried to explain himself. Roxanne's just really confused right now, Dad, Max began. And we don't know how much longer this is going to last, but honestly, I really think she's been feeling a lot better lately. I know I have. Goofy took his time thinking of what to say next. Your mother was having a lot of affairs when you were just a baby, Max. I knew she was. And I never said anything about it for the longest time because I didn't want to lose her. But then you kept getting bigger, and I knew that all I needed was someone I knew I'd love forever. So I just confronted her about it. She left, and that's the way it was supposed to be. Nothing lasts forever, Maxie. But living a lie, that's just a waste of time. Max thought Goofy might take Thomas's side, but Father truly understood where son was coming from. Max knew what had to be done now. Roxanne froze stiff. Thomas's car was in the driveway. He wasn't supposed to get back until Wednesday, Roxanne stammered. Well, time for him to know the truth, Barry excitedly said, racing inside. Barry, wait! Roxanne shouted. Roxanne, Dad was right, Max insisted. The longer we keep this up, the worse it's gonna get. We gotta tell him the truth now. Roxanne took a deep breath. Okay. Max and Roxanne bravely opened the door, preparing for the worst. But what they heard and saw next in the living room was worse than anything they could have prepared for. Barry was on the floor, crying, hands covering the side of his face. Roxanne was horrified. Max was furious. What did you... Max shouted. Shut up, Thomas yelled. Both of you sit down. Roxanne was too petrified to do anything, and Max was not about to obey this bastard. Then Thomas grabbed Barry by the wrist. Now! Slowly, they sat down on the couch. Then Thomas pointed at Max to sit on the chair over on the right. Max rolled his eyes. Spoiled grown man doesn't even want other men sitting next to his wife, he thought. So, Thomas addressed Max, your supposed honorary son tells me that you have been seeing my wife. Max was not fazed by any of this. Yep, and you've been hitting your 10-year-old son. Thomas let go of Barry's wrist and approached Max closely. It's called discipline, sir, Thomas declared. Something you clearly don't know about. You think you can live out your dreams, being a rock star, get with a gorgeous ginger, try and take everything away from me because I'm some selfish, pompous, rich guy? Hey, I'm sorry if you think I'm rude, but I'm not the one seeing somebody else's spouse. No, you're the one hitting your 10-year-old son, Max repeated himself. Thomas grew furious. It was like no one was listening to him. He grabbed Max by the collar. Max rushed over to pull them apart. Stop it, she screamed. The next thing they knew, Roxanne was face down on the ground, and Max was slammed into the... The next thing they knew, Roxanne was face down on the ground, and Max was slammed into the coffee table. Thomas just stood above them. Barry looked on in horror. You know what? Let me ask you something, Thomas scoffed. How long have you two actually been together? By my calculations, less than 2 weeks. Really? You think... Roxanne, how long have you been with me? Roxanne didn't answer. She was sick of acknowledging Thomas was right all the time. So what if he was? Then Thomas headed back over to Barry. 10 years, Roxanne quickly replied. Thomas let that smirk show on his face. Good night, Max, he said indignantly. Max winced. He was sick of this man's self-righteousness. Max, go, Roxanne demanded. Thomas's smirk grew even more. Max couldn't believe what he was hearing. He was too dumbfounded to move. Then Thomas grabbed Barry's wrist again. Max instinctively stood up. Do you really care about your son? Thomas asked. Then leave, and he doesn't get hurt. Max felt hopeless, like there was nothing more he could do. Without even looking one more time at Roxanne or Barry, he just flashed Thomas one last scowl and stormed out. True to his word, Thomas let Barry go. Then he left his family to clean up the mess in the living room on their own. Not far away, Max was curled into a ball. He couldn't get the image of Roxanne trapped in Thomas's arms out of his head. And yet, what could he do about it? He left them to suffer. What good was he now? Just like that, Max's heart broke once again as it did 10 years ago.